Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shotade Olusegun. In today's video, we're going to dissect using Mona Lisa's portrait to buttress the reality of universe. Well, in my discovery, of course, there is absurdity, or rather, let me say there are absurdities in the discovery. And so we're going to, shed more light to that. Because the moment we dive deep into the quantum realm, the quantum mechanics, then we're able to actually discover these absurdities. And it's for that reason, in fact, it's for that, purpose, that reason that we people, scientists, are not able to get to that unification of quantum mechanics to classical mechanics, because there is a huge bridge that must be crossed. You understand that we have used the formula of everything to do that, but there is something so deeper than unifying quantum mechanics to classical mechanics, and that is what I'm going to use the Mona Lisa's portrait to dissect. Well, I know you might want to ask that, what has Mona Lisa's portrait got to do with the unification of quantum mechanics to classical mechanics? And what has this portrait has to do what is this portrait rather has to do with the reality of the universe? Before I even say anything, I want you to give cursory look to this portrait as it is. This portrait that you are looking at, of course, it was drawn by the renowned polymath Leonardo da Vinci. There is more to this picture than what we can, merely see. When you look at the surface, look at the picture the way it is, you might not be able to get the deeper meaning of what this picture is telling. Well, this picture as it is, it's telling a story, and the story it's telling has to do with reality of the universe. Don't forget that I said that reality of the universe is at the present phase, which is this line, and the present phase is synonymous to event horizon of black hole. And so we're going to look at how is it possible for us to have a kind of instant communication, right from this arbitrary suspension to this arbitrary, even more to the actual mass worth, which is outside the time energy wave constraint. Why is it that we have the nature of instancy and at the same time have the nature of almost instant? You understand? But basically, we know that what we have here is nothing but instant nature of time. But when you give it cursory look, at the same time, you see that the suspension that we have, which has pegged it around the 0 point, based on the value that we have here, has significant influence on what we could, discern at this point. And that is what we're going to actually, dive deep into. Okay. Now, before I talk more about this Mona Lisa's picture, I just want to, there's something I want to talk about. Like, when you play a music, let's say you play, some keys on keyboard randomly, and if those keys are being played at different intervals, since you are going to have the consciousness at the present phase, which is the phase where you have instancy, how is it possible for you to, get the differences in the interval at once for you to have the harmony of the music? That's another thing that we need to, dive deep into. Cut. So we're going to, dissect to know how is it possible for us to actually, discern the, different notes at different intervals. You understand? At instancy of that present phase. So those are the things we're going to go deep right into today. So now, I want us to now give cursory look at this image. I want you to, you know, I want you to be right inside the picture for you to, get the story that this picture is actually telling. So now, if you are privileged to see the original picture, original portrait of this particular drawing, you will be able to see the originality of the eyes communication and the mouth's communication, and through that you can get to see this image in its glory. So now when Leonardo da Vinci you know uh, drew this portrait, he was able to draw the worth of this personality and at the same time the energy. And as a result of that, we have the interwoven of the past and the future at the present phase of this static portrait. And so, for you to tell story, there must be a beginning and there must be an end. So the present phase of this image will serve as the climax point. You understand? So basically, when you look at this image, you can get the story that this image is telling. But what I want to actually pay more attention to is for the fact that we have the Leonardo da Vinci was able to capture the past and the future as the static present phase of this portrait. What do I mean by that? Now you can get to know the future story of this particular personality and get the past, experience of this particular personality. So for me to actually say it in a way that you understand, when you have a picture drawn like this, it's a static image where there shouldn't be a kind of movement or a kind of motion. And if you have a posture that could reflect, if you have a kind of posture that could reflect that kind of momentum, because when you look at this image, you'll be able to feel the smile of this particular personality. The smile is so inviting that you can't just ignore it. And if you look deeply, you'll be able to see that kind, the uh, energetic momentum within the eyes and then within the lips. And then you'll be able to actually get yourself involved in the whole momentum, even though you are looking at a static picture. Da Vinci was able to do what has never been done in history, because the originality of this picture is far beyond what one can actually explain. For us to have that kind of momentum, that is what makes this particular portrait to be different from any other portrait, and that is why it is the most celebrated portrait ever. When you look at the 3D capture of the image, it is so outstanding. You can feel the robustness of this personality by looking at that 3D effect that Leonardo da Vinci gave to this particular portrait. So now, looking at this kind of smile, we can tell that this person is a kind of person that has enjoyed wealth. This personality felt so relaxed, we can tell from the image. But then when you look at the posture of the hand here, the posture of the hand, the way it is, you can get to know that there is a kind of insecurity that this personality is battling with. Even though we could see the relaxation of energy, we could see the comfortability, we could see the, the awe of this personality's glory and what the personalities has and what the personality has enjoyed in life. At the same time, we're able to see based on this posture, because for this personality to have the fingers being clenched to the handle of the chair the way it is, it reflects a kind of insecurity. So that is part of the story that this image is actually telling. Well, the thing is, we are not here to tell story. We are here to use this image to confirm the reality of the present phase in our time energy wave model, and at the same time used to confirm the reality at the event horizon of all the black holes in the universe. Okay, so that is that about the image. I may get back to the image. Now let's get to the time energy wave model. Now this time energy wave model, this present phase, I just want to concentrate on this present phase. There are so many things happening in this present phase that reflect huge absurdity. One of them is, let me take it, really down to this boundary where we have suspension. When you look at the value of the suspension that we have it to be 5.7 times 10 raised power minus 48. By having this minus 48, we're going to put all the zeros to the left. Basically, that is telling us that this suspension is towards the 0 point. And by having this figure to be 48, it means that this value, this worth, which is this suspension that we have here, is right inside this non-zero energy state in the vacuum that we have here. Because when you substitute this value in the formula of everything, we then have this value. We can say that this one is a little bit closer to the 0 point. You understand? So this particular value envelopes this value. So that is still within the time energy wave model. There is that absurdity that is being cleared. We still have that is still tolerable within the system. But the absurdity that is out of the league is having the electron's mass outside the time energy wave model. Well, when you look at what we have here, the suspension, we have the magnitude of classical mass was to suspend our weak conveying force, which is this 4m, at this point. And by the time we annihilate that manually, the value is going to be resulted to this particular value, which is the mass worth of electron. But the mass worth of electron that we have here, we cannot say that the mass worth is right inside the system, because if this is to be inside the system, it will mean that it will mean that when we put all the zeros at the left side, then this will actually come before this. This will come. I'm talking about at the zero region now. We'll have this will be the first contact, the first contact point away from 0, followed by this, and then by this. Okay, I'm talking about, okay, away from the zero. You understand? I'm talking about how we're moving away from the zero. You understand? So now it means that this particular value envelopes this value, while this envelopes all of them. But we can't really have this right inside the system as it is being illustrated right here. And there is where the imaginary number comes in. Imaginary number, but we know that I of imaginary number is square root of -1. That is so absurd. But basically what I want you to pay attention to, I have video already on imaginary, how that is related to the discovery. But what I need you to know here is that the square root of -1 translates to flipping. It translates to flipping towards the real realm. So by the time we reconstruct the I as we usually have it in relation to real axis, then we can have our value to be uh positive, you understand, relative to the real number. So basically we know that the electron mass worth that we have here, by the time it is being flipped as a result of radiation, just as I've been explaining, then it tends to positron, which is the antimatter of electron. And that is the reality of this discovery. Just like I said the other time, that how is it possible for us the to have the harmonic of notes being played at different intervals at every present phase as something that we can relate with, even though they have momentum at different intervals. And if we're to have momentum, it means that there is this interwoven of the past into the future, even though we have that instancy of the present phase. Now, what makes us to have instancy at this present phase? Time could actually break through the suspension, and the moment time could travel through zero, it becomes instant. And basically I think, as because we have suspension here, the effect of suspension is being magnified, even though it is being portrayed as instant momentum. We still have the intrinsic nature of momentum in our instant nature of the universe. And that is why I intend to use this image to explain that even though this image is, this portrait is static, we can still feel the energetic momentum of this particular personality through the posture, through the eye contact and the smile. And so that is as well related to the harmonic notes we have at present phase. Even though the notes have been played at different intervals, we could still feel the momentum in our instant present phase of consciousness. So that is what I intend to say today. If you find the video, if the video is quite informative and insightful, don't hesitate to like. Then it's a novel discovery. I will put link to my research publication in the description below. Another thing that I want you to do is I want you to share this with your friend. We want you to travel as fast, as quick as possible. And then don't hesitate to subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so as to be notified for the subsequent upload. Thank you. God bless you.